Okay, so based on my experience, guys, I highly suggest you take none of what I'm teaching you right now for granted. I have plenty of students that are working in Photoshop for years, and unless they were taught by me, they'd probably have a lot of bad techniques. As an example, right across the street from here, I teach one of the largest magazine companies in the world right across the street from me on 57th Street. Right? Now, I have people who come to me working in Photoshop since the beginning, since 91, 92, 93, 15 plus years. Okay? They think they know Photoshop. They don't know Photoshop because they were never taught how it thinks. They were never taught the basic underlying principles of what Photoshop can do for them. Therefore, they never learn the program the correct way. Therefore, they're spending hours doing wrong, bad techniques. All right, so let's deselect this. I can deselect by hitting Command D. Okay, now again, getting back to how Photoshop thinks. Anything about the image is under the image menu. Now, we just did a second ago is deselect. Anything about a selection is under the selection menu. So in addition to select all, I can select, reselect, Command Shift D. Once it's selected, I can deselect, Command D. So again, my objective is to get you to think the way the software thinks. It's a language, guys. Once you understand how it thinks, it's very simple to make changes. All right. Now, in the marquee selection tool, now this tool toggles. If I hit Shift key M, it will go to the elliptical tool. So notice here, Shift M, marquee square, Shift M, elliptical tool. Now again, if I hold down the Shift key, I can make a perfect circle. Now, in this particular case, I'm holding down the Shift key. Notice my cursor turns to a plus symbol. That means I'm adding to the selection, and I'm also making a perfect circle. So I can add to the selection. I can add to the selection. Command Z. I can take away from the selection by holding down the Option key. The Option key takes away from the selection. So I can take away from the selection. I can take away from the selection. So the Option key takes away from the selection, and if I hold down the Shift key, it constrains it. Okay, so now I have this shape here. I can fill this shape with the foreground color. I'm going to pick a different foreground color, maybe this burnt orange color, and Option Delete. Okay, so again, this is how the program's thinking. Command Z undoes that, Command D deselects. So let's create a shape here. I'm going to hold down the Shift key, create a shape, create another shape, create another shape, create another shape. Right? Because I'm holding down the Shift key. The Shift key adds the selection. The Option key takes away from the selection, takes away from the selection, takes away from the selection. All right, so if I wanted to make a graphic icon logo, actually this looks like a profile. I don't know if you can see it, but here's a profile version of a Joker, of a Harlequin. Here's his nose, here's his little hat, etc., etc. So I could go back to my elliptical tool and add to the selection and add to the selection. Pretty cool. So I want to fill this with this brown color. Again, Option Delete. Option Delete is foreground color. Now if I hit Command D right now, very important to understand, everything is on this flat file layer. So if I go to my Move tool, which is the letter V for move. Now, why is it the letter V for move and not the letter M for marquee? Because M is for marquee. So V for move. If I go to the Move tool, it's going to move the entire layer, but it can't be moved because it's locked. Which brings us to our next step. And we'll continue this. Actually, we'll do this right here. All right. Now, here's my objective. I want to select just this. Now, this is not Illustrator. If this is Illustrator, very simple to select that. I just click it and select it. But this is a pixel-based pixel-based image program. So a simple way to select this, one of two ways. I could go to my Magic Wand tool. Magic Wand tool is right here. W selects the Magic Wand tool. I don't want to have the Quick Selection tool. I want to have the Magic Wand tool. So Shift W toggles between those two tools. So anytime you have a sub-menu here, you can get to the other tool by hitting the Shift key. Okay, so I'm going to hit W and click. Now, here's how this tool thinks. This tool is based on tolerance levels. We'll do a whole exercise in another video, but I'm going to share with you how the tool thinks. Now, I have two choices here. I'm going to deselect this. Command D. I could choose to select the white, and then anything about a selection is under the select menu. Under the select menu, I can select inverse. In this particular case, the shortcut is Command-Shift-I, Macintosh, Control-Shift-I for Windows. So sometimes it's simpler to select something else than inverse the selection. Either technique in this particular case is going to work. So I can either choose to select this with the magic wand tool, deselect, or I could select the background of the magic wand tool, or I can inverse the selection of this selection. Now I have this selected, so if I hit the delete key right now, it's going to bring up this dialog box again. Okay, now it can't delete to background, it can't delete to the transparency, because right now this layer is on top of a transparency, but this layer is locked. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to the File menu, and we're going to go to Save As. We're going to save this as version 2. I just want to share with you a concept here. Okay, deselect. So this layer, by default, is locked. How do I know that? Because it's italicized and it has a padlock here. I unlock the layer. Let's call this our design layer. I'm just going to double click and I'm going to call it design. Now you can call this background if you want, as long as you type in the word background. So let's keep this simple. Let's actually call this background. Now this is an unlocked layer. How do I know that? There's no padlock and it's not italicized. Now I have a different type of way to work with Photoshop because this is an unlocked layer. And I'll explain that concept to you in our next video.